I wasn't sure how well the batches of beetroot seedlings with a tangle of long, fragile stems would grow. The plan was to transplant multi-sown modules of beetroot seedlings as part of a succession of really early spring crops in one of the polytunnels. Each cell was sown with a few beetroot seeds in a tray with other crops and set to germinate under lights in the warmth of the house. But this was before I had put reflective foil around the propagation racks, and the seedlings became very tall and lanky, stretching towards the limited artificial light above. It was a hassle to try to untangle all of these long seedlings, and a few of them were damaged as we worked to separate them to transplant the clusters into the ground, and I wasn't sure how well these plants would grow. With the pak choi and kohlrabi plants, the tight cluster of stems and leaves or the swollen edible bulb formed as usual on top of this elongated base to the plant, where the original leaves had formed. But it was different with the beetroot, as it was this elongated section of the plant between the top of the roots and the base of the leaves, which is apparently called the hypocotyl, that actually swelled to produce the edible root. I didn't really know where the beetroot actually formed. I never really thought about it, and it was interesting to see how it was different from the brassica crops. This elongated hypocotyl developed into elongated roots, instead of the more round shape that I would typically expect from this variety of beetroot if the hypocotyl had remained quite short. We still got a decent crop of roots and tasty leaves. The roots were just more cylindrical and stretched rather than round, and some of them were twisted together in the cluster and quite small still. Thinning these modules to 3 or 4 seedlings each, and possibly untwisting them when they were transplanted, probably would have helped produce a more consistent crop. And a better setup of lighting for the propagation stand would have prevented these tiny plants from stretching so far towards the light. This would have made transplanting easier and produced a crop closer to what we would expect, but it was interesting to see how these plants develop when the conditions are not ideal.